I didn't really think Tyler Buchner was headed to Alabama. But Tyler Buchner's headed to Alabama. Tyler Buchner did not win the starting job at Notre Dame, and he is now transferring to Alabama. This is a surprise to me. I did not expect this, but I will tell you what I think, since many are gathered around to watch me suffer. There were a few things I said about this. If you were following last Tuesday's show, I said I thought that there were better fits in the SEC even than Alabama for Tyler Buchner. And that was because Auburn has a wide open path to being a starting quarterback. I think Florida has a wide open path to being a starting quarterback. Both of those programs had been mentioned to me early on. Alabama had been mentioned too. So now that it's all over, to paint a pretty clear picture of what I was talking about, I had Alabama mentioned to me. I expected him to take the visit that he took. What I thought was going to happen is I thought Nick Saban wasn't going to extend an offer to him, or I thought he was going to look around and find far more desirable quarterback situations than the one at Alabama. I misread the situation. So now we have Tyler Buchner. I don't know if he's going to be the starting quarterback at Alabama, but I am of the opinion that you're not bringing a guy in after spring ball who clearly has starting aspirations to just provide you depth. So a number of things to talk about here. The first is this is the biggest sign of vulnerability I've seen from Alabama in several years. Losing a game doesn't make you vulnerable. That's just stuff that happens. Having a bad day in the secondary, not coming up with a key stop on fourth down. Those sorts of things are called football, and that stuff happens to even the best of programs out there. Georgia may have that happen to them this year for all we know. Bama's won championships, and even within that run, they've had some years where things weren't exactly perfect. This is different. This isn't losing a football game. This is a sure sign of vulnerability. Doesn't mean they can't overcome it. But this is the biggest sign of vulnerability I've seen from Alabama as a program in a long time, because I want you to think about this for a second. You had two quarterbacks, four-star caliber or higher, that you handpicked and have been in the program multiple years. They went through spring. There was no catastrophic injury for either one of them. And you come out of spring and you have to look in the mirror and admit to yourself, we don't have either one of them as ready as we want to have them, to the point where we got to go get Notre Dame's backup quarterback to come in here. That's vulnerability. That is being in a bad place. Now, they still got a stacked roster. That doesn't mean Bama's going 7-5 or anything this year. But it does mean, for all those out there who always want to assure themselves Nick Saban has a plan, I'm sure this is all just going according to plan. This isn't Nick Saban's plan. No one in their right mind plans to run their program this way. I don't care if you're a mid-tier program, but especially if you're an alpha program, this isn't in the cards. This is not how you draw it up. And the other thing that really stands out to me as a result of Tyler Buchner transferring to Alabama is the 2023 season is riding on Tommy Rees. Tommy Rees just called the biggest shot for Alabama in 2023. That's the new offensive coordinator there. Now, for anyone who's going to yell at me, well, Tommy Rees can't do anything Nick Saban doesn't let him do. Of course you're right. Of course Nick Saban's the ultimate guy who signs off on all the moves there. But there's no one in their right mind who would convince me Alabama was going to go after Tyler Buchner in the portal if Tommy Rees wasn't at Alabama, his former offensive coordinator, who probably stood on every table in that building imaginable and fought for him to get an offer. And he's got the offer now. So Tommy Rees made the biggest call for this team this year. How's it going to work out? Well, we're recording this thing on Thursday morning. I expect that we'll see some portal activity. That's not information. That's just guided instinct. I don't think that Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson are both going to stay at Alabama. I also think that if you look at the SEC now, Georgia obviously has established themselves, but last year we had a weird year in the West where Bama's the overwhelming favorite and LSU wins it. Bama loses a couple of games on the last play of the game. LSU wins it. And there was this feeling that, okay, that's nice for LSU, but, Bama will be back. Will they, though? And when I say back, I don't mean will they be good. Yeah, they'll be good. But are they going to ascend to a position, the likes of which we've seen them in the past, where they are the predominant, overwhelming alpha favorite in the division, and any outcome other than Alabama being in Atlanta is this massive upset? I don't know. I don't know about that. But I will tell you this. Texas is coming in there in week 2, and that's already been a very tasty line for a lot of people out there. Texas is going to be a single-digit underdog. They already were going to be a single-digit dog at Alabama. And I'm not telling you that line's going to move to where Texas is a favorite or anything like that. But if you'll recall last year how close that game was with Quinn Ewers out for most of the second, third, and fourth quarter. And then if you'll recall what we thought we knew about Bama, and then in light of what has recently transpired, this season gets really interesting. And this is not the only program with quarterback turnover. Georgia's got to start a new one. Ohio State's got to start a new one. And that's why you look at a program like a USC or a program like a Texas, and even if, Caleb Williams is insanely good, but even if you don't think a Quinn Ewers is the best you've ever seen, hey, at least there's some continuity. At least he's done it before. At least Texas isn't having to dip into the portal after spring for a quarterback. The other thing that I want to touch on here is the other reason that I thought they'd be good enough, they being Alabama, the reason I thought Bama was already good enough at quarterback with Simpson or Milroe is because I didn't think they needed a 4,500-yard passer this year. I didn't think they needed a Heisman-caliber quarterback this year. I think they'll be able to play a style of football that I've loosely compared to Georgia, and then people have called me on it and said, well, Georgia threw the ball more than they ran the ball last year. Yeah, I know. When I say a style of play, that includes defense too. That includes a complementary, choose your approach because your defense allows you to, and be ultra physical in the process brand of football. I thought Alabama could do that this year. And for the record, I still kind of believe Nick Saban has seen what Kirby Smart's done and said, well, hey, if that style works still, and I wasn't convinced it did for a little while, but if that style still works, I can do that. I'm not convinced he doesn't still feel that way. Maybe he just feels Tyler Buchner's the better captain of a ship that goes that direction. I looked at Bama, though, and I said, man, I think that secondary is going to be really good. I think that running back core is going to be really good. I love Bama's offensive line. They had the pieces to where I was not panicking about these quarterbacks and not lighting the world on fire during A-Day like everyone else was. Maybe everyone else was right and I was wrong. Who knows? But Tyler Buchner to Alabama, that is a big surprise. That is a major, like blockbuster portal move. And it's one that a lot of folks saw coming and I didn't see coming, I guess because maybe I was willfully blind to it. It's not like it wasn't rumored. I just didn't believe the rumors, and the rumors were true.